Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bilingual channel where we discuss important topics in both English and your preferred language. I'm David.
And I'm Emily. Today, we're diving into the world of politics. We know this topic can be overwhelming, but we'll make it easy to understand by explaining key terms as we go along. So, stay tuned.
That's right, Emily. Politics isn't just for politicians, it affects all of us. By the end of this episode, we hope you'll feel more confident about understanding and discussing political topics. Let's start with a fundamental term, democracy.
Democracy is a system of government where the people have the power to choose their leaders, usually through voting. Many people think of democracy as a rule by the people.
Yes, in a democracy, the government reflects the will of the people, at least ideally. But democracy can look different in different countries. For instance, some democracies are direct, where people vote on everything, and others are representative, like in the United States.
In a representative democracy, people elect officials to make decisions on their behalf. This way, citizens don't have to vote on every single law but instead trust their representatives to make choices that benefit the public.
Great explanation, Emily. And another important term related to democracy is republic. A republic is also a type of democracy, but it emphasizes the rule of law. This means everyone, including leaders, must follow the same laws.
Exactly. When we talk about a republic, we mean a government structure that protects individual rights and is based on a constitution or set of laws.
Moving on, let's talk about checks and balances. This is a crucial term in democratic governments. It refers to a system where different branches of government such as the executive, legislative, and judicial branches have separate powers that prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful.
Checks and balances ensure that power is distributed. In the US, for example, the president can veto laws, Congress can pass laws, and the Supreme Court can declare laws unconstitutional. Each branch keeps the others in check.
Right. It's a system designed to avoid authoritarianism, which is another important term. Authoritarianism is a political system where one leader or group has absolute control, often limiting freedoms and silencing opposition.
Exactly. In an authoritarian state, citizens usually have fewer rights, and the government controls many aspects of life. It's the opposite of a democracy, where freedom and choice are valued.
Yes, authoritarianism often restricts what's called civil liberties. Civil liberties are personal freedoms like the right to free speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly. These are protections from government interference.
Civil liberties are essential in democratic societies because they allow people to express themselves and live without unnecessary restrictions. Without these freedoms, people can't fully participate in society.
That's so true, Emily. Civil liberties are the foundation of a free society. Now, let's talk about bipartisanship. This term refers to cooperation between two major political parties to pass laws or make decisions.
Bipartisanship can be challenging to achieve, especially in a polarized political climate where parties disagree on many issues. But when it happens, it often leads to strong, lasting solutions.
Right, and related to bipartisanship is the term compromise. Compromise means finding a middle ground where both sides make concessions to reach an agreement.
In politics, compromise is often necessary to make progress. It allows leaders to work together, even if they don't fully agree, for the sake of moving forward on an issue.
Yes, it's an important skill. Another term that's often misunderstood is populism. Populism is a political approach that appeals to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are ignored by the elite or establishment.
Populism can be found on both the left and the right. It typically criticizes powerful institutions or elites and promises to return power to the people.
Right, Emily. Populist leaders often use strong, direct language and talk about issues that resonate with people's daily struggles. But populism can sometimes become divisive.
Another important concept is sovereignty. Sovereignty means that a state or country has full control over its own affairs without interference from outside forces.
Sovereignty is essential because it means a country can make its own decisions without being forced by other countries. This is especially important in international politics.
Speaking of international politics, let's explain globalization. Globalization is the process by which businesses, cultures, and governments become interconnected across the world.
With globalization, countries are more connected through trade, technology, and ideas. But some argue that it also leads to job losses in certain industries or a loss of cultural identity.
Exactly. Globalization has its pros and cons, and it's a big topic in political debates around the world. Now, let's talk about capitalism versus socialism, two economic and political systems that people often compare.
Capitalism is an economic system where private individuals or businesses own property and operate for profit. In capitalist societies, competition drives innovation and economic growth.
In contrast, socialism is a system where the government owns and controls key industries, like healthcare or education, to provide equal access for everyone. The goal of socialism is to reduce inequality.
These systems have different approaches to the economy and society. In reality, most countries have a mix of both, known as a mixed economy.
Good point, David. Now, let's move on to public policy. Public policy refers to the actions taken by government to address issues and improve society, like education, healthcare, or the environment.
Public policy can vary a lot depending on the priorities of the leaders in power. For example, some governments may focus more on health care, while others emphasize national security.
Right. And let's not forget about lobbying. Lobbying is the act of trying to influence government decisions, often by special interest groups or corporations.
Lobbying is common in politics, especially in countries like the United States. But it's controversial because it can lead to policies that benefit a few people rather than the general public.
True. Another important term is ideology. Ideology is a set of beliefs or values that shapes how people view the world and guides their political opinions.
For example, liberal and conservative ideologies have different views on issues like government regulation, taxes, and social policies.
That's right. Ideologies can strongly influence how people vote and what policies they support. And finally, let's discuss nationalism. Nationalism is a strong identification with one's country, often accompanied by a desire for independence or pride in one's nation.
Nationalism can bring people together and create a sense of unity, but it can also lead to conflict, especially if it becomes extreme nationalism, where people view their nation as superior to others.
Wow, David, we've covered a lot today. We talked about democracy, republic, checks and balances, authoritarianism, civil liberties, bipartisanship, compromise, populism, sovereignty, globalization, capitalism, socialism, public policy, lobbying, ideology, and nationalism.
That's right, these terms are a great starting point for understanding politics. We hope this conversation has given you a clearer picture of how political systems work and why they matter.
Thanks for joining us on the Bilingual channel. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your opinions on these topics and keep the discussion going.
Until next time, stay curious and keep learning about the world around you. See you soon.
Bye,
everyone.